Let me show you how to pick up and knit stitches along this left front edge in order to begin the left front ribbed band that is part of the finishing of this cardigan. You'll see here I already did the right front band, and I had picked up stitches along the bottom, along the front edge, but starting from the bottom and then going all the way up to the top and then ribbing in that direction. So now on the left side, I'm going to be mirroring that, starting at the very top edge where the collar is, picking up and knitting stitches along that whole edge down to the bottom of the cardigan, and then ribbing. Now the instructions for this particular cardigan do say to pick up and knit 2 stitches along every 3 rows. So I'm going to be showing you how that is done, as well as explaining that when you're picking up and knitting stitches along a straight edge like this, you want to be sure to keep it very consistent where you do the picking up and knitting. So in this instance, I know this is a top-down sweater, so I'm looking at that as the very first stitch that was knit going in that direction. That's the first stitch, and I'm gonna go right past that and pick up and knit so that my button band is going to be running right along the edge of the second stitch in. So let me show you how that works. In order to get started, I first want to find what feels like the true corner. So that to me feels like the corner. So I'm going to put my needle in there, grab the yarn, just loop it around and knit like that. And that's how I get started. And then making sure I continue on with the yarn that's coming from the ball and not the tail that I leave. I'll weave that in later at finishing. Okay, so yes, we do want to do 2 stitches along every 3 rows, but at the very beginning, at the edges of button bands, I like to do an extra stitch because I know that once I knit or purl or whatever I do, that edge stitch just has a tendency to curl inward, and so you don't even really see it. So I kind of like to allow for that and have that extra stitch. So I'm going to start with 3 stitches, and then I'll do the 2 every 3 rows. So here's 1 of 3. So visually I can see that is my second stitch in from the edge. So I'm going to pick up right next to that and on the next row down, yarn over and knit that. And I'm going to do it one more time so you can kind of see that's number 1, number 2, and number 3 is right next to it, just the very next row. Yarn over and pull that through. So that's my 3 stitches just to get going. And now in order to do 2 stitches along every 3 rows, I'm going to skip the next row, which I see is right here, and I'm going to go into the one after that. So there's my 1. Next row, there's 2. So that's 2 stitches along those 3 rows. Skip the next one. So skip that, and then go 1, 2. Skip the next one, and then along the next row and the following row. So you'll see the pattern there. It's a skip, pick up and knit 2 on the next 2 rows, skip a row, pick up and knit 2, skip a row, keep going. And then I double check myself, and you can see that I kept a nice consistent edge here where every picked up stitch is right up against that second stitch in, and I'm only grabbing the first edge stitch under my knitting. So here with this particular cardigan, there was a knit stitch as the second stitch in, and then here along the lace it's a purl stitch, but it's the same idea. Skip a row and then go pick up along that edge stitch, but don't drift into the second stitch, and do 1 row and the next row, skip the next row and do the next 2. 1, 2, skip that next row and go into the next 2. 1, 2, and so on and so on. So you'll see here too that I'm trying to be very consistent in keeping this a nice straight, even line. So I'm going to do that all the way down, and I'll show you how I finish it at the end. So now I've picked up and knit stitches at the rate of 2 stitches for every 3 rows, all the way almost to the very end at the bottom. And I have 2 more stitches I need to pick up and knit. And because we're at the bottom corner, I'm going to just see if I have space to skip a row and then do the 2 or not. And it looks like I don't, just based on the way the pattern is written. I want to hit the same number that the pattern calls for. So I need just the 2 more. So I'm going to not skip a row and do 1 right there. And then I want to make sure the very last stitch I pick up is at the corner. So that looks to me like that. And that looks nice to me, and I'll double check and see that right along my pick up and knit edge is that same line, that second stitch, which is a knit stitch all the way up along here. And I never accidentally picked up and knit a stitch right in the middle of it. So I do have that clean line. And then in this little section of the lace, it's a purl stitch. So still consistently right up against that. And then the very top part that I showed you before. So that looks great to me. So now it'll be time to go back and forth in rows to rib this left front band and finish it off like that.